The house on 112 Ocean Avenue sat quietly under the dim glow of the streetlights. White painted walls, sloping roof, and two half-moon windows that seemed to stare like watchful eyes. To strangers, it looked peaceful, almost welcoming. But those who lived nearby knew better. They whispered that after midnight, the lights inside flickered on their own, and shadows moved where no one stood. It all began on a freezing November night in 1974. Inside the house lived the DeFeo family, parents Ronald and Louise, and their 5 children. At 3:15 a.m., the silence of Amityville was shattered by the echo of gunfire. One by one, the family members were murdered in their beds. No one screamed. No one escaped. The killer, their eldest son, Ronald DeFeo Jr., later claimed a voice in the house told him to do it. When police entered the next morning, they found the house unnaturally still, every victim lying face down. As if obeying an invisible command. ... The murders shocked America, but for the house, it was only the beginning. Months later, the house stood empty. Realtors struggled to sell it. Few dared even to enter after sunset, until George and Kathy Lutz, newly married, walked through its doors. They saw only a dream home, 6 bedrooms, a boathouse, a fireplace, and a price too good to be true. They moved in with their 3 children just before Christmas, December 1975. For a few days, the house felt normal. Then, small things began to change. A room upstairs, one that never warmed no matter how high they turned the heat. Strange smells of decay seeping through clean walls. The front door would slam shut on its own. At night, the family dog growled at corners of the living room, where nothing stood. George began waking up at exactly 3:15 a.m. every night, the very time the DeFeo murders had taken place. He'd hear footsteps above him, then whispers that stopped when he turned on the light. Kathy's dreams grew darker. She'd see the faces of dead children, pale, watching, floating just beyond her bed. Their youngest daughter, Missy, began talking to someone she called Jody, a large pig-like figure with glowing red eyes. George once followed her gaze toward the window, and for a split second, he saw those eyes staring back at him through the glass. Terrified, Kathy called a priest to bless the home. As he sprinkled holy water in the sewing room, a deep voice growled from nowhere, "Get out!" He fled and refused to return. Later, he developed unexplained blisters on his hands. The house grew colder. Doors slammed. Crucifixes turned upside down. A swarm of flies filled a closed room in the middle of winter. The Lutz family's moods changed. Arguments erupted. Shadows seemed to follow them. George's face grew hollow, his eyes bloodshot. He told Kathy he could hear the DeFeo family whispering through the walls. On the 28th night, the house unleashed its final terror. Screams echoed from the children's rooms. The stairs shook as if something massive walked within the walls. George saw a dark figure standing by the fireplace, its eyes burning red. He grabbed his wife and children and ran into the freezing night. They never looked back. By morning, the house was empty again. Their furniture, belongings, even food still on the table. The Lutz family swore they'd never return. When investigators entered days later, they reported sudden drops in temperature, strange odors, and an overwhelming sense of dread. No one could explain it. Some called it a hoax. Others said the evil that began with the DeFeo murders had never left. Even today, the house still stands on Ocean Avenue, renovated, repainted, renamed. But neighbors say that on quiet nights, they still see a faint light flicker in the attic. And if you stand by the gate after midnight, you might hear the faint whisper, "Carrie."